AI is coming faster than anybody can imagine. I have never seen as much uptake on an idea and a concept at CES in this shorter period of time in my many years of going to CES. So that was shocking to me. That was like early signal. It's going to happen.
Welcome to Adapt or Die Transformative Leadership Conversation, the show where top executives unpack the pivotal moments that force them to pivot or to perish. I'm Andreas Pettersson, former tech CEO that turned leadership coach and founders of Leaders Adapt. Welcome, Jeff. So happy to have you on the show. You're an amazing person and inspirational. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Andreas. Thanks for the intro, the warm intro. And I'm glad I'm on your V0 podcast. So we'll see how this goes. I'm curious.
So you have had multiple startups, successful exits, and you're now focused on AI. What's sort of the through line for your career when it comes to spotting transformative changes, both in technology, but also in the markets themselves?
Yeah, man, I think if you look at my history, I've always technologist at heart is definitely a thing. Right. And so I've always tracked technology. I've been around for a long time. So early PC days, BIOS, firmware, clean room BIOS. That was my introduction to tech. Loved early PC days. From PC days, moved on to internet days, tracked against internet. And honestly, in conversations with people during the internet days, I'd be like, internet's going to be a big thing. It's a huge thing. There were people that are like, no, it's not. Like, what's the point of the internet? And so, now today we think about this, like, how could that possibly be? But that literally was how people thought. Like, what really? The internet's not going to, who cares? Like, stuff's going to be on servers, not in a room. So, and then onto mobile, I did a bunch of stuff with mobile. Again, the technology had moved from, PCs to things in the cloud to things in your pocket. And I'm skipping over a couple of other things, but AI is I think where and as somebody said, I'm living in the frothy edge of AI, but AI is kind of where this all is right now. So that's why I'm sort of anchored and curious and exploring AI.
Okay, so let's say the internet was out of a 0 to 10, where 0 was no disruption and 10 it was massive disruption. How would you have ranked that at a time?
10, absolutely. Like it was 10. It was rewriting everything.
Where is AI in comparison to that change? Or even mobile?
I think mobile was a 10 to maybe an 8. Like, I don't think mobile was as strong of a shift as the internet was. The internet changed how we connected data to humans. Mobile let us move it into our pocket. You could predict mobile. You could predict things getting smaller, tighter, tinier, and moving from a PC to a notebook to something that fits in your pocket. I don't get that sense with AI. AI is 10x that, 50x, couple orders of magnitude faster than the internet. And it's not slowing down. And I think that's the thing that surprises me. I don't feel it slowing down at all. It's just accelerating. And I think it kind of makes sense, right? So the internet allowed us to connect all of our data, huge data that was all siloed around, and you could do nothing with it. So as we built on the internet, we built on that pool of data. AI actually draws on that entire pool of data in ways that humans couldn't, right? And it's now multiplying itself, growing, changing, adapting, being leveraged. It's not like it's a living thing, but we're leveraging it in ways that we could never do before by just raw data. Before, it was humans had to do the lift. Now we have machine intelligence doing the lift, and machine intelligence improving its ability to do machine intelligence.
Okay. So I'm with you, by the way. It has completely transformed the way I operate. I probably save 2 hours to 3 hours a day using different AI tools. But I also meet a lot of founders. They're like, let's look into AI next year. If a company is not looking into AI today and doing a massive cultural experiment shift in their companies, where are they at 12 months from now?
Yeah, man, I think it is applicable to any company, probably tech forward companies more so. If you're not paying attention to how AI is rewriting the world and your opportunities, honestly, I think you'll be so far behind the curve, that you will never be able to catch up. It's a really interesting, disruptive opportunity. Smaller companies with less people willing to take higher risk will be displacing rapidly larger companies, older school companies, ones that are unwilling to take the risk. And I think it's going to, just like it happened during the internet, we saw this happen. It's going to happen with AI, but in even a more magnified way, because you need less people to leverage AI than you did internet.
Why do you think so many founders and CEOs are blindsided by this?
I think it's a muscle memory thing. Like if you're a founder, you're a CEO, you're an expert, you're an SME on something, you've got all this muscle memory. Like I know how to do, and you're right, you know how to do it really, really well. So you always have this presumption that you can do it as well or better or whatever. I have time, right? It disrupts your normal workflow. It forces you out of your comfort zone into a new space. I think a lot of founders and experts, CEOs, whatever, they're used to the way that they do things. They have a lot of muscle memory around this. They believe it's very difficult to do better than them. And frankly, the investment to learn and understand AI is fairly high.
Mhm.
So why take that risk? Let's let the dust settle. Let's figure out where AI lands, and then I'll pick the best tool. And the problem is it's too late. Like too late to pick the best tool. Your competitors will already have picked those tools and they'll already be experts on them.
I couldn't agree more. And I remember you told me you were going up to an event in the Bay Area and you were absolutely shocked by the speed of how things are going. Can you tell us a little bit about that event and what were sort of the challenge you saw there and how did you change your mindset?
Yeah, I think there's actually two events that hit me. One was about 3 years ago, and you'll remember this. I went to CES and I came back from CES when ChatGPT was just initially launched. And I came back and I thought I did a fireside chat with our company, right? I was right. And I'm like, guys, wake up. This is 3 years ago, right? AI is coming faster than anybody can imagine. I have never seen as much uptake on an idea and a concept at CES in this shorter period of time in my many years of going to CES. So that was shocking to me. That was like early signal. It's going to happen really fast, right?
And for the listeners, Jeff is a guy who is extremely tech forward. He tracks almost all trends. He's a maker at heart. He buys all the toys you can get, even if he shouldn't be. And the point is, like, compared to most technologists I know, this guy is on the bleeding edge of most technologies. And when Jeff comes back and he's absolutely shocked that something is going on. Tell me about the other situation.
Yeah, and so, this was honestly, Andreas, it was 6 months ago. It feels like it was 5 years ago that I went to an AI summit up in the Bay Area. And, I got an invitation from a good friend. She's like, you should come up, check it out. It wasn't run by one of the big organizations like NVIDIA or OpenAI or any of that. It was really a tech summit in the Bay Area. They were all there, right, presenting a little bit here and there, but it wasn't a marketing pitch for, one of these larger companies. And I walked in thinking that I, knew a little bit about AI, and I walked out. I think the first day I'm like, holy shit, I will never catch up. I've never felt like this. Like I am so far behind, it's hopeless. The second day I'm like, I'm more behind now. I know more and I'm further behind. By the third day, I'm like, maybe I should move to the Bay Area. Like it's time to get back up there. I was up in Cupertino for a few years. Like maybe it's time because I was just sucked into the energy of it and the excitement behind it and the fluidity of where AI is going and the energy. And so that really did sort of flip a bit from total like, oh, I'll never catch up to no, I want in, let's go.
I remember when you called me and we were having the conversations and I've never heard you. I have to say, in my view, Jeff, you're never get scared. But that was the first time I heard you not feeling like I actually understand what's going on. And you even said something to me that if I go away from here for 2 weeks and I come back, it's as if I discover a whole new world within AI. That's how quickly it will go.
And it's right. And I think that the same effect happened when I left Arcules. For the listeners, Andreas and I were at a company called Arcules a few months ago. And when I left Arcules in January, I thought, okay, I'm going to really like focus on AI. I'm going to level up. I'm going to get there in about 4 weeks. Like I was pacing it fairly well. Still at 4 weeks in, I'm like, no, I'm just now learning how much little I know. And I would argue right now, I'm barely holding on to the sort of the edge of AI. I'm trying. I've had to narrow my perspective around what matters and how I'm trying to approach it. But yeah, it is moving faster than people imagine. I think it's going faster by the month. It's not slowing down. And it's being applied in ways that, again, people can't imagine or even predict. And I think that's one of the things that's so amazing, right? I think even the pundits for sure at that summit that I went to had made a bunch of predictions of what they thought would come true at the end of 25 and mid 26 and right. And I think every prediction has already happened, right? Or is 90% there. So even the pundits are off by a huge margin around this, the rate of change of AI and the impact.
So if let's take this segment here, the challenge here, right? So one of the most provocative things I keep seeing out there is, and obviously the podcast is called Adapt or Die, and I think if you don't adapt AI, you will die. But should companies be laying off their staff if AI can do the job better? And why would they not do that?
So actually, interesting, this comes up all the time. There are a bunch of fears that come up, and this is one of them that's a repeating thing. I actually don't think they should. I think a company should be looking to figure out how to teach their entire team to embrace AI and to magnify their value, right? This is not about replacing people. This is about I look at it more as like, how do we hire less people, right? Or how do we broaden the skill set? I think one of the things that's cool about an early stage company that I love, and you know this, is you wear lots of hats, right? And so as a company from an early stage begins to grow, they start to specialize. I need a marketing hat. I need an XYZ hat. I need a podcast hat. I don't know, right? And so you start specializing. But with AI, as an early stage company, as a product manager, a technologist, or a CEO, or a CTO, CPO, you're wearing multiple hats always. I think AI gives us an opportunity to wear those hats longer and tune our output better by using AI and AI agents as our sounding boards and our learning and our skill set, right? And so it expands what we can do. And so I think it's awesome because it gives you amazing creative control at speed, where normally you'd have to start hiring a bunch of people to do that. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's where my head's at. So don't fire people. Use them to augment the team and hire fewer.
Yeah, exactly. And you can build a startup, you can build a company with way less resources compared to where you were able to. And it's just the beginning. It's going to go crazy.
And then you can focus on hiring that really great talent that you really need, that has the unique perspective that you need, rather than, 5 other people that help fill gaps. Use AI to fill the gaps.
Okay, so let's say a CEO or a founder is listening right now, and we talked about a few of the roles. We talked about augmenting people and making them more effective, which I also believe is the first wave of AI. But how do you build a culture in these companies that is sort of still a high-functioning team, but they are AI curious? Or where do you even get started as a CEO to start doing these adaptations into being more pro-AI in the company?
So first of all, I think you're hitting on something that's like core to my conversational track, which is you can't pick AI tools. You have to adopt a mindset of exploration and experimentation, right? This is not a pick a tool game. Like you're going to pick a tool, it'll be stale in a month, 2 months. Like literally gave a talk about AI. And as I was talking about it, I'm like, and don't even write what tool I'm suggesting down because it was probably different. And it wasn't the best tool 3 days later, like kid you not. So the key is you have to adopt a mindset of curiosity and exploration around AI in an organization. And it needs to come from the top down. It can't be a bottom up thing, right? And, there are different ways you could potentially implement it, but the key is you need flexibility around the teams trying and exploring tools, a repository of some sort where people can capture their thoughts and their ideas and their learning. So, you and I are Slack shops as a general rule. And so you can imagine a Slack channel where I have all the prompts that we've used and the things that we've learned, encourage people to spend that 20, 30, $50 a month to try a new tool. Make sure you check the box that says we won't use your information to train our models, but get people to use it. And you will find a lot of failures. A lot of stuff won't solve the problem, right? But the few that do will make a huge difference. And so that's what you need to do. It needs to start from the top down, and you need to be open to and resilient around mistakes that are made, because this is a frothy space, right? No pain, no gain, no risk, no reward. Like it's that world, but
Muscles and scars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so Jeff, we ran a super interesting experiment at Arculus where we both worked, where you basically didn't know. We basically let the tools free. We let the AI free. We said people can experiment. Can you give the listeners some examples of how we discovered how they actually use these AI tools, which was way more creative compared to if you tried to top-down prescript what all employees should use?
Yeah, I think there were a couple that were standouts. In my role at CTO or CTPO or right at Arculus, where I was running product and tech, right?
Mhm.
I spent a fair amount of time with the product managers. And one of the product managers, one of our challenges was taking an heavy abstract core concept and getting our acquirers, Milestone, excited about the idea, right? And Milestone is a big PowerPoint company. Like they're PowerPoint, PowerPoint, PowerPoint. And Arculus is not that. And so one of the challenges the PM had was, how do I create a bite-sized hunk of information that will excite the Milestone teams around what we're doing, right? Knowing that if she just throws PowerPoints out, nobody's going to pay any attention. Notebook LM she'd been playing with. Internally, a bunch of us had been using Notebook LM to explore, and they had just introduced their podcast, functionality. So she took my notes, one of my conversations on this core concept, my slides, threw it into Notebook LM and had it create a podcast. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Notebook. I'm sure it's way better now, but even then, man, it must have been almost a year ago,
You
right?
can even join as a guest now. You can shift topics. You can roll them if you want info. It's crazy.
Early days, but it actually has two people talking with great emotion. And she ran this and she sent it back to me and she said, "Man, what do you think, Jeff?" And I'm like, "Whoa, this is so cool." And so she used that to help get, Milestone excited about the concept. And I think the interesting thing there was on our side, like the team immediately thought, "Oh, a podcast, that's going to be really hard. It's going to take a lot of time. You're going to need a script. You're going to have to figure this out. You're going to have to." She did none of that. She just threw all of this shit into, Notebook LM and took a run at it. And there is the heart of it. She wasn't a domain expert on this. She wasn't thinking of all the reasons it was hard. She just went, "What happens if?" And the output was pretty good. And then I think she went back and she edited a little bit, like with just the normal, video editor or something. But I like, that was impressive. Another example, and I think this is another good one. Arculus has a very fast front end team. And so we wanted to run some experiments with fancy dashboards and blah, blah, blah with AI. And so we, product manager talked to the front end team. Yeah, let us give us about a week. We'll come up with the right libraries. We'll have something to demo, maybe 2 weeks. So that's reasonable. Like one person, short period of time. So I said, why don't we try it in Claude? And again, this was probably 8 months ago, and Claude's come a long way since then. And so we went into Claude and we just said, "Hey, we mentioned you're a front end engineer, right? What libraries would you use for visualizations?" It gave us a list. Great, pick the first one. Imagine a data set of, and we described the scenario, and it created a data set for us, right? And then we built a dashboard, and then we built another dashboard, and then we built another dashboard, and then we tried all the libraries. In 30 minutes, we had multiple mock-ups of interactive dashboards with synthetic data that we imagined might be interesting. And sure enough, the front-end team had something sort of similar, but it took them a couple of weeks to get there.
So sorry for interrupting here, but it's super important. So we are obviously technologists, both of us. We're leading edge. Okay, say most of these listeners, they're not. Let's say they're not in the tech space. They're not in the Bay Area. They're all over US, all over the world. Some are in manufacturing. They are in real estate. They run retail. What is the one thing? Like, where do I get started? I'm a CEO. I'm listening to this. Where do I even start? And I know you said you don't want to drop tool names here, but it's like, give them something like step one on the journey. What is that?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you first a negative. Do not use any AI like a Google search. You're wasting your time. Don't do it. I mean, it's fine. It does a great summary, but that's not the value of it, right? I would have said pick 2 tools, but now it's 3 because Google's back in the game. But pick 2 or 3 different core AI tools, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, or one of the Gemini models, right? But pick 2, not 1, 2, right? Pay for it. Pay the $30 a month version so you get the slightly better models. If you got a lot of money, pay for the expensive one. Don't care, right? And then use those tools to act as a mentor, an expert, a rubber duck for sounding ideas off of, a whatever. Use it in ChatGPT and then go over to Claude and try it again in Claude and try it again in Google. You will see that each one of these tools has slightly different personalities when returning its thoughts to you, right? So again, I'm a tech founder, but let's imagine you're a CEO at a company and you got this cool product idea. And what do you do with that? Well, you could sit down with Claude and say that I'm a CEO of the XYZ company. This is our core product. This is what we're trying to do. I have this crazy product idea about XYZ. Act as a research team to figure out if this has any legs. Act as a design team to figure out what that might look like. Can you build me the app? And so again, you can have a conversation with this and crunch through lots of exploration and discovery and even visual mock-ups that could ultimately be turned into a product. And in another 6 months, they'll just be a product by the time you're done, right? So you can do that at a rate that would normally take weeks and tap a bunch of people in your organization. You can do this on your own in a half an hour or random chats over the course of 3 or 4 days. That's how you should use the tool. Right.
Let me build upon it and let's summarize, because you and I talked about this before. I think there are 5 steps. Role, so act as, think as, and then provide context. What is that you're trying to do? What's the dream outcome? What and who are you? 3 is what is the command? Brainstorm with me. Write this. Create the mockup for. 4 is format. What's the result you want it in? You want it in just some notes? Do you want a website, an email, a presentation? But then my my 5th option here is the one I have absolutely been killing it with recently, and that is ask AI to ask me questions that are clarifying to make sure it has truly understand what it is that I'm trying to do and what are the considerations that I am missing. And by doing that little extra hack, I have got it to be way more detail oriented.
That's right. And you could do that with system prompts. I don't know if that's the way you're doing it, but you can lay down a system prompt is something that the AI models use every time you have a conversation with it. ChatGPT has it, Claude has it, Google does, and you tell it a little bit about yourself and kind of the style of responses. And one of the things you can put in there is make sure to always ask clarifying questions if it makes sense. So that streamlines that, but you're exactly right. It's basically role, intent, examples, iterate conversationally. Don't give prompts that are robotic or programmatic. You want to give it the fluidity to choose how to return some of this stuff. And then when you're done with that, every one of those prompts that are really working for you, keep them somewhere, share them if you can with others. Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Okay. So sum it up. If you don't know how to prompt it, ask it how to prompt it. Slack, any form of communication, sharing, culture, allow people to experiment, and just let them get the 3 tools. Okay, let's move over to how you get success using these tools, Jeff. This one is a little bit harder, but what type of employee do you need in order to be successful with your company in the AI era? Or can you keep the ones you have? And when does it fall into one or the other bucket?
I'll go back to it. I think
and not tech company now. Think any company, any guy, as generic as possible.
If you have a well-running organization, you want to amplify the talent that you have with AI. It will require that those people are curious and willing to experiment. Further down the line, once it's possible there'll be a group of people that use these AI tools to help augment yourself. But the big power you get is on the ones that are willing to experiment with different AI tools, find ones that fit their needs now, and be willing to switch as those tools change over time, right? And so I guess it's really curiosity. Curiosity is the big part. Resilience, because there'll be some failures in there. I think basically you have to make it clear to the team that AI is really key to your forward motion of the organization. I think the Spotify CEO said something really interesting about this a while back. He said, "We're not going to hire new people until you can prove to me that we can't do that job with AI." Right? And all the way to the executive level, right? And so it's not that you won't hire new people. You will find cases where you can't, of course, you can't do everything with AI, right? You'll find those cases.
So you're passionate. I love this topic, Jeff. Keep doing, be you.
I think that sentiment is the right one, which is it shifts the culture to be thinking, how can we use AI instead of bringing more people in? And by doing that, it forces you to think about how can I use AI? If you're in a growth company, like we're growing, so how do I use AI to not have to bring more people in? How can I do better with the AI?
Couple of provocative questions then. If people have a certain core values or a certain mindset, let's say they're either more successful or they will absolutely struggle tomorrow. What are those sort of core values or behavioral skills that either will really amplify you or you're going to have to pivot in your career?
Now, that's a tough one too, because we don't know where AI is going to hit, when, and what, right? We just know that it's coming, and it's already starting to displace people. I think it's the same thing I said before, Andreas, and maybe I misinterpreted your question. Unless you're willing to embrace change and explore and experiment and take risk, I think you'll be trapped. If you wait for things to stabilize, the people that are like, let's wait and see, those are the ones that'll get behind the eight ball. Now, if I'm in a big enterprise and we're slow to move, and maybe it doesn't matter, right? It'll take time. Everything moves slower in a larger enterprise. If I'm in a smaller, earlier stage company, 100 people or something, then I'm not sure that I have that time, right? And that's where I can act like a 400-person company with 100 people, right? And so how can I be, that curiosity, the resilience, the willing to experiment, the willingness to step into the unknown, get off the rails, all of that is really critical to be successful. But again, it's going to depend a bit on the stage, the size of the company, and where it is in the curve. If you have a company that's delivering lots of human services, it's unclear to me off the top of my head. AI will have an impact. It'll probably have the impact around how can we identify the right people to deliver the right services at the right time. But it doesn't eliminate the people there, right? What you want, again, is people using that expertise to be better at what they're doing.
Let me ask you in a different way. What is it that, let's say 2 years ago, when AI started really kicking off? I mean, we worked with it since 2016, 2017, or whenever it was, but for real in mainstream. What were the things that you felt, this is something that humans only can do? There's no way AI displaces it. And today, what is it that AI do better than humans? Which situations are those?
It's not precisely about better than humans. It's a combination of speed, accuracy, and breadth of ingestion of information, right? So I think that's how I see it most of the time. It's a speed thing, right? Could I get somebody, a couple interns and a PM to go off and do some research on a topic and like crawl through Google searches and figure it all out and bring good stuff back? I absolutely could. And it would take, 40 hours between 3 people to go do that stuff. Could I do it myself? Of course, it would take, just more time, right? But with AI, I can get that done in 45 minutes without tapping a bunch of people. Or maybe I give it to an intern and they do it in 45 minutes. And now they're operating as an expert in the space, right? It's not that AI like straight up replaces people here, right? It basically just, it can get broader information faster and distill it more quickly in a sensible way than anything we've been able to do before without many people or a lot of expertise.
And as a business leader, you don't have to pay a $200,000, $300,000 salary person to do it. You can have an entry-level person, and they are able to produce a better results because they're not stuck in their old mindset.
Right. And so my only hedge is that you still often need an expert human to validate the results.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. Don't spend $300K on this expert. Have somebody build and compile a report, and then instead spend $5,000 for somebody who's an expert to sanity check the result if you feel you need it sanity checked, right? And I would have had a stronger opinion on this a year ago. The current state of AI is much better at returning non-biased results if you are thoughtful about your prompts, but you can get yourself into a trap. So, but human in the loop, right? But what you said.
Let's do a couple of super quick questions now, Jeff. You have to answer super quick. Don't think too much, okay? I have 3 to 5 questions. This is like a lightning round, 1 to 2 minutes. Okay. Tools that AI tools you're currently obsessed with?
All right. So in my portfolio of daily tools, I use ChatGPT for general queries. I like the voice mode in that. So in my pocket, I use the talking ChatGPT. Has an Australian accent, which my wife thought was pretty funny. I use Claude for anything that is code related. Possibly I just have an internal bias with Claude around this stuff. So that's pretty cool. I do find that Claude writes in a voice that's more natural. So if I generate content that I happen to generate in ChatGPT, I'll often bring it to Claude to have it clean up the voice. Next one is Notebook LM. So I actually haven't used it much until recently. I had to build some slide presentations using the hell out of that. My Plod, I use my Plod all the time. I think it's a huge time saver. It's with me always. And I'll record the conversation, do the Plod transcriptions. And when I'm done, I'll send them to whoever I was just at lunch with. And they always are like, whoa, thanks. I probably sold, 50 Clods at this point, right?
We should have an affiliate link both of us there.
Yeah. Like I'm sure I'm selling Plods as a result of this. I think that's really cool. On my local machine, I've got a 4090.
What's a 4090?
Oh, it's a GPU, last gen, pretty heavy lift GPU
But I know you to run a lot of AI locally.
That's right. I've got like 96 gigs of RAM and 4090, which has 24 gigs of VRAM. So I can run local models at sensible speed on a Windows machine. And so I had DeepSeek up and running before it was popular. It's interesting to be able to run local models because there's no data leakage. You can't leak. I've been experimenting with image to video and image to, text to image, text to video models to see what you can do. Really impressive. And so like One2, FramePack, DeepSeek, Llama. I've been like a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. One AI use case people are totally missing out on right now, especially if you're a CEO or an executive.
I was going to give you the other one. It's great for making recipes when you just have random ingredients and you don't have whatever you need and you're like, I need to make something.
That works as well. Okay, so that was that one. Book or thinker you gotta follow, a thought leader about AI online right now. One.
I haven't found one that has blown my hair back.
That's why they should be working with you.
I have found more inspiration in some recent sci-fi books on what the world looks like with AI embedded in every aspect of life than I have in actually reading some of the AI books. That makes sense.
Okay, final quick lightning round question. Jeff, one prediction, AI related, 2 years from now, what are we seeing? You got 30 seconds.
I think we will see hyper-personalized applications on devices, giving people what they want, when they want it, how they want it. I'm not even sure they'll be called applications anymore. I don't know what they will be, but I think the whole concept of an application that you and I both use that we write, I think that starts going away. I think everything becomes super hyper-personalized.
Let's say people listen to this, they find you interesting and they want to work with you. Maybe you want to help, like they want to reach out to you and have you help their teams, cultures, leaders shift to a more AI focus. Where can they find you?
Best place is jeff@futuretouch.io. That should work. An email should get to me. You can find me on LinkedIn at LinkedIn/Kunzelman, I think is my LinkedIn profile. Let's check. Yep. LinkedIn Kunzelman, Kunzelman. It's right there on the screen. So
Awesome, Jeff. Thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you everyone for listening to Adapt or Die. If today's conversations help you think differently, share it with one leader who needs this insight right now. Drop a 5-star review. It means the world to me. Please, please, please. No, I'm kidding. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to get a lot of 5 stars, but I need you to drop them. So please drop a 5-star review and help others discover this show. If you want to have notes on the topics we talked about today, 3 free resources or details about my coaching program, then please visit leadersadapt.com. And finally, remember, in leadership, we adapt and thrive, or we don't survive. Until I see you the next time, have an amazing time. Bye.
Bye.